In order to understand the flow of phosphorus, it is imperative that we understand stakeholders' actions responsible for this flow. The flow of phosphorus is affected by government agencies at all levels, including the state, local, federal, and global level. Federal agencies are most influential in phosphorus policies, creating wide, sweeping changes in the mining and utilization of phosphorus. An example of federal agencies controlling the extraction of phosphorus is how the mining is overseen by the U.S. Geological Survey. Another federal agency that impacts phosphorus accumulation is the U.S. ITC, or International Trade Commission. Phosphate is a global market where a few countries control almost all of the phosphate exports. This geopolitical control remains mainly in the hands of China, Russia, and Morocco, controlling 60% of the global phosphorus production. If the U.S. International Trade Commission implements new policies like tariffs, global trade of phosphorus will therefore be effective, impacting its allocation and accumulation. On the broad international scale, there is limited enforcement for overall phosphate management due to the diverse interests of each country. Organizations such as the United Nations Environment Program can participate just a little in outreach when it comes to spreading awareness for proper, sustainable environmental practices. On the international level, phosphorus creates great geopolitical risks, with phosphate supply at jeopardy from international conflicts. For example, the conflict between Western Sahara and Morocco has tied up untold amounts of phosphate rock in untapped mines. These international conflicts will continue to emerge over the control and acquisition of resources like phosphate. Below the federal level lies the state government, including agencies like the Department of Environmental Quality. State agencies have the power to enforce federal regulations, issuing permits and ensuring compliance. The state can also work besides local agencies, such as soil and water conservation districts, to ensure that local areas have quality water, healthy soil, and an overall healthy environment for important fauna. The state has the power to issue permits for mining, farming, and many other phosphate-influencing activities. State agencies can locate phosphorus contamination in soil and water. However, such contamination is often difficult to trace back, as there is a large amount of systems and stakeholders responsible for the flow of phosphorus. This is in contrast to point source pollution, where contaminants can be readily discovered as coming from a single location. However, state agencies can still affect P-flow in many ways through agencies including the State Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Health, and the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. State agencies also help to inform federal agencies, which further promotes new policies and regulations. For instance, the EPA can obtain data from soil and water conservation districts and departments of environmental quality to use as supporting evidence for policy and decision-making. Other agencies, such as the U.S. Geological Survey, can provide crucial scientific data and monitoring to track phosphorus sources and activities from mining, supporting informed policy and management decisions. For agriculture, the USDA can encourage agricultural conservation practices like buffer strips and cover crops to reduce phosphate runoff from farms. Even smaller than the state agencies lies the local agencies. These have a key role in affecting the use of phosphorus, as they can provide educational materials to limit the use and ensure that phosphorus has sustainable application. These materials can promote best practices in maintaining land quality to farmers and landowners. Wastewater treatment plants are also an important local agency for phosphorus sustainability, using a combination of microbial, physical, and chemical methods to pull phosphorus out of wastewater while ensuring that clean water is recycled back to the public. Phosphorus can be captured from biosolids by utilizing materials that can sorb and desorb phosphorus. These materials are currently being developed and tested by STEPS researchers with the hope that captured phosphorus can be reused for fertilizer, continuing the circular movement and cycling of phosphorus. Local agencies, as mentioned previously, tend to play larger roles in their own communities, split amongst outreach, zoning, policy implementation, and more. They can report relevant data to state agencies and translate policy into action. These local, state, and federal sectors are the major players for phosphorus management in the United States. Similar entities in other countries play key roles in their individual practices. Phosphorus flow is an immensely complex topic and is affected by many agencies, even spanning outside of the United States. Hence, it is crucial to understand the extent of variability and risk associated with phosphorus flow, as many agencies implement their own crucial policies.